Razor, how's it going this week?
Wonderful. How about you guys?
Spectacular. I have had so many takes blow up in my face, as you well know, over the course of the year with this Bruins team. I've had quite a few blow up over the weekend as well. Do you want to hear them, Razor, so you can point and laugh if you'd like?
Please do. Yes, it's always entertaining.
Well, I said the Panthers would give the Bruins a series. I did not have a high degree of faith in Linus Ullmark, either his health or his performance, coming out of Game 2. I freaked out about the lines going into Game 3 with Montgomery shuffling them up, which I hated. Turns out he knows more than I do. Let me see. What else did I question? Taylor Hall, I didn't expect to produce. I still kind of believe that one. I'm not a big believer in Taylor Hall. But he shut me up with a couple of great games, certainly in Game 4, more so than any other game in the series. Am I missing anything, Mego? Is that pretty much all of them? Are those all the hits?
It, yeah.
I think that's pretty much it. Where would you start, Razor?
That's it, huh? That's it. What a weekend.
I mean, I'm sure there's more, but those are the headliners, yeah.
Well, so I've done this now like five or 6 years following this Bruins team. And of course, I moved away. I played here. I moved away and came back to this area, and they've been really good. And I've learned that you can't bet against them. And that's why I might sound like a homer at times, but I truly believe in this group and in these people that are in the room. And with Bergeron and Krejci and Marchand, these guys are some of the best that have ever played, let alone, in Boston or right now. So I think it just, this team continually shows up, and they did that again over the weekend in Florida.
Do they need another cup to validate it? Like you just said, Bergeron and Marchand, they're some of the greats. You can't doubt them. You can't bet against them, it was a nice way of calling me dumb because I clearly still haven't learned that yet, Razor. But do they need another cup to validate it in terms of their all-time greatness?
I think they don't need it, but I would expect that they feel like they need it. For me, I think playing the game, the people that are in the game understand how, and everyone, but just how hard the Stanley Cup is to win among NBA championships and World Series. Like the Stanley Cup's really hard. There's so many variables. But I think they feel like they need it. That's my sense from this team, and especially this season, that they really recognize that if they win 2, if they have 2 rings, they're right there with Bobby Orr and that group from the 70s in this city. And then NHL-wise, hockey-wise, Hall of Fame-wise, things like that, that second ring will go a long ways.
Razor, Taylor Hall has been unusually productive compared to how he was playing late in the regular season.
In your face, Jim.
In these last 2 games. What do the Bruins have to do to keep that level of production from him going forward in the playoffs?
Well, I think this is going to be, it will continue. He's a matchup disaster for the opposition, and we've talked so much about it. Unfortunately, he was injured the last month, and then he gets a couple games, but with the addition of Bertuzzi, these guys all playing together, and we still haven't seen the full group together because Bergeron and Krejci hasn't joined them, but it looks like we'll get closer to that tomorrow night. Just having that, the line today was Zacha, Hall, and DeBrusk, and you can say let's just say that's the third line, but I don't know how anyone matches up against them. I think we saw over the weekend Taylor Hall using his speed against a third pairing defenseman is a disaster. And I think that will continue. And I think when you look at this team playing for another 6-7 weeks, a lot of it is going to be Taylor Hall getting points and scoring and making big plays.
Razor, do you think the Panthers are going to continue to agitate in Game 5? And if they do you think that Brad Marchand is going to continue to be the calming voice of reason somehow on this team?
Well, I think Brad's going to continue to be the calming voice of reason. I think that where his game is at, and he recognizes how much of a difference he can make by being that. I don't think Florida can afford to be the agitator. I don't believe Florida will have can get involved and get in the fracas. They have to find a way to win Game 5, and they truly proved in Game 4 that taking stupid cross-checking penalties after the whistle won't get it done. And they're going to have to play their most disciplined, most perfect game. And I think if I'm in that Florida Panthers room, I've got the message across to my players that you guys have to worry about what's going on during the whistles than what's going on outside of them, especially Mr. 19.
You mentioned the line shakeups. Why split up Bergeron and Marchand? What'd you think of that? If that's what ends up happening tomorrow night, why bother?
Yeah,
with that?
so I'm not sure, and I'm gonna restrain myself from really commenting because we saw what he did with the lines the other day, and that was because you're kind of protecting an injury from Krejci, and so I'm not sure what it meant today. I'll be interested to see if they roll those lines out in pregame skate, or if anyone skates tomorrow morning, and then warm ups. I think you can say it helps depth-wise. You can say that you're not really sure how many minutes Patrice is going to play. So if he's on a bit of a minute restriction, you could see why they put those lines together, and you could see how Coyle would maybe double shift on both sides of that, where he's playing with Marchand and he jumps in with that Bertuzzi line at times, depending on where you're playing. Maybe there's times where Patrice is only taking offensive zone faceoffs or only defensive zone faceoffs. So I'm going to wait and see, but I think what it does is it allows everybody to not have their lines shifted after games 3 and 4 with the addition of Bergeron if he's on a time restraint.
You think it's smart to play Bergeron in Game 5, given what he's dealing with potentially?
Yeah, you have to play him. If he's ready to go, if he's healthy, you don't test hockey karma. You don't test sports karma and saying, oh, we're going to overlook this opponent. And unfortunately, I was on a team with Patrice Bergeron that had a 3-1 lead coming home, and we blew the series. And that I don't regret Game 7, but I look back and regret Game 5, not winning that one. And I think that people understand that and recognize that the last game is always the hardest to win. And if Patrice is healthy, you don't say, we'll just let him rest a little bit longer to get to the next round. You have to worry about winning tomorrow night.
Not to get ahead of ourselves here, Razor, but which teams in the Eastern Conference are impressing you so far in this first round outside of the series?
Toronto, pulling those 2 games out in Tampa Bay, and there's all of the demons that go into them and that organization. If they do finally get over the hump, I think that's impressive, the way they've done that in Tampa Bay. And I think Carolina's playing that sneaky, tough game. They're going to be a tough out for whether it's the Rangers or New Jersey in the next round. So, but I'm leaning Toronto. I think if it is Toronto-Boston, it's going to be a really tough out.
All right, he's Andrew Raycroft. He joins us every Tuesday at 3:30 here on Jones and Mego with Arcand. Razor, we missed you in person this week. We'll get that going again somewhere down the line, and we'll see if the Bruins can finish this off tomorrow night.
Sounds great. Enjoy the game, and we'll do a little round 2 in person maybe next couple weeks.
All right, sounds good. You can point and laugh in my face. He's the Razor.
I do want to do that.
The Razor, Andrew Raycroft. He joins us every week at this time on the Harbor One Hotline.